got a tablespoon and a half of olive oil on a medium flame. To that, I'm going to add some prepared salted cod. And all we're going to do is just toss that in there, like so. I'm going to turn my heat down. It's not hot, like I said, medium heat, but I'm going to turn my heat down just a slight bit. And we're going to hit that a quick little stir. Adding some fresh ground black pepper. And the title of the video, will see it says spinach, and essentially what we're making is bhaji, and I have several different types of bhaji recipes on CaribbeanPot.com. Any sort of greens that we cook similar to this, in the sort of style we call it bhaji in Trinidad and Tobago, and I believe in Guyana as well. And essentially what we've done, we have I've soaked the salted cod in water overnight, or you can boil it, either way it works, to remove most of the salt and to rehydrate it. Then I flaked it and I drained out all of the water from it, and by adding it to the oil here, what you're doing is adding a lot of flavor from that salty, sort of briny, sort of dried fish. Yo man, we love our saltfish in the Caribbean, right? But here's the thing, if you want to keep this fully vegan, you can avoid the saltfish part of things and just continue along with the other steps. It's been a couple of minutes. I'm going to go in with thinly sliced onion, garlic, and that's quite a bit of garlic. The full recipe printable will be available at CaribbeanPot.com as always. And I have 3 bird's eye pepper, or what we call bird pepper in the Caribbean, but I have 3 of them chopped up. If you want to skip that out, or you want to use a different type of pepper, it's totally up to you. I like a bit of heat in this. If heat is not your thing, you don't have to add it, or cut back. You saw me add the seeds and everything in there. You can remove the seeds. Now be mindful, if you're handling these with your bare hands, wash your hand with soap and water after. You don't want to touch your cocoa loaves or anything like that. You're going to run into problems. It's been about 4 minutes since I added everything, and the onion has gone soft. I didn't want to burn the garlic. It gets in that lovely flavor from that salted cod. Any saltfish would work, so pollock or anything like that, which can be a lot cheaper, will work, yeah? At this point, what I went ahead and did, and this is just a small bowl, in total I'll be using 2 pounds of this sort of baby spinach. It's important that you always wash the spinach before you use it. Now if you wanted to use frozen spinach, it will work. It's just, all I would recommend you do is you thaw it and you squeeze all of as much water as you can out of it, or else later on it will take a while to cook out. Just going to start putting the spinach in here. Just going to make sure I'm not getting too much of the water, and I'm just washing them in batches and putting it in here. Like I said, I'm going to toss that water out. I'm going to use about 2 pounds of spinach in total. So we're just going to move this, tuck it down, and as it wilts, I'm just going to keep adding some more. As I add, what I'm doing is just moving it, stirring it, just to make sure the garlic and onion and everything else that we started off with gets into those layers down there. Now if you wanted to treat this like a true bhaji, which means you're going to cook it down all the way down until it becomes a total mush. If you're familiar with bhaji, you know what I'm talking about. I am not going to do that step, but if you wanted to, you could have given the spinach a rough chop. So I'm just going to continue adding, and you can see the water, the remnants of water from washing it, as well as that spinach will release quite a bit of liquid as well, and we want to sort of burn that off. If you wanted to add a tablespoon or 2 of coconut cream in here, by all means do that. Now since we started off with that prepared salted fish, that salted cod, and I'm seeing myself there, we got the leaf trying to escape, but you will taste it and adjust the salt at the very end, because if you add salt now, potentially there can be remnants of salt. Even though we soak the saltfish overnight, there's still going to be the chance of there being a lot of salt in there. So this is why I would recommend that you taste and adjust the salt later on. To help it along, I placed the lid on there. The only thing with the lid being on there, it's going to create steam. Steam equals moisture, which is water, essentially. So now I'm going to remove the lid. I'm going to keep my heat on medium, and we're just going to cook this out now until it's all that liquid is gone. And have some rice ready, have some sada roti ready, some wasap shot, whatever it is, or a side to anything, you know what I mean? How you would normally treat your spinach, but in my case, I'm treating it like bhaji, as I said, which means rice or roti is going to be involved in the proceedings. It's been about 5 minutes on that sort of rolling boil that you're seeing there. I did went ahead and I tasted the sort of broth, the sort of liquid that you're seeing there, and what I found is that it's a bit salty. So, and besides that, there are times when I like adding a bit of tomato, but in this case here the tomato will serve a purpose. So I'm just going to go in with one diced tomato, and that tomato is going to help cut that salty, the bit of saltiness to it. And this is why I recommended that you don't salt it until near the end here. I've still got maybe about 4 minutes to go to burn off all that liquid, but by adding the tomato, we'll cut back on the saltiness of it, plus the acidity will help to balance off the flavors as well. Just going to stir that in and let that do its magic for me with tea. A little bit of over saltiness to my liking, but again, this is totally optional. If you wanted to, you can. If you don't have the need to, because yours is not salty, well, bless you. Sup, soldiers? Listen, if you enjoy this recipe, I'd really appreciate it if you hit subscribe and click that bell notification thing. If you've made the recipe, take a picture and send it to me. Email address down here. I mean, trying to tell people the email address, them butts will take the address and do all kind of thing with it. And tag me on Instagram at Caribbean Pot. I really appreciate you guys, and thanks for being in my kitchen with me today. It took another 5 or 6 minutes or so to burn off all that liquid, and you can see most of it is pretty much gone. There's still a little bit of remnant, so I'm gonna turn it off in about a minute or so. Then the remaining heat, and this is the glazed cast iron pot, so I know there is a lot of remaining residual heat in there. That's going to burn this off. Remember, now you have to taste it for salt, adjust that salt. If you want to hit with a little bit of black pepper, you can do that. And if you're one of those people who, when they eat spinach, they get that itch in the back of the throat there, what you may want to do is hit a squeeze of lemon juice. Maybe a teaspoon or so of lemon juice will help with that. Chris here, CaribbeanPot.com. Always a pleasure having you all in the kitchen with me. We just made an iconic, and I'm saying it's iconic because this thing is real tasty. Minus the saltfish, if saltfish is not your thing, and man, you're still enjoying this proper. Remember, if you want to add a bit more flavor, add that coconut milk in there, remove the fish, the salted cod. It can be vegan as well. If you wanted to add some shrimp, some tiny shrimp in there, proper thing self. Irie.